I've already mentioned. On table 2, these are the funding support appropriation support emergency health. The money which we have been using for these ambulances, the preparedness stocks, the community engagement to do community work to minimize the health emergencies, but also the construction of that health center. So for the financial years of 2019, 2020 up to financial year 2021-22, we are getting 9.4 billion. The current financial year, we put up a spirited lobbying, but we lost the battle, and the budget was reduced to a half, to 5 billion. And this has crippled us, because then some of the envisaged expansions and scale-ups, we had to reduce them. And this has even been made worse by Ebola, because these ambulances now, for the last 3 or 4 months, we have basically in Muvende, and somehow it has slowed down the bigger picture we had envisioned. And I must say that we shouldn't be deceived. The emergency medical services and disease outbreaks, especially pandemics, if you look at the global trends and predictions, they're on the increase. And if we don't prepare to respond and manage them, the world will overshadow us. So, what are the issues around the support regarding health? So, of course, the staffing to scale up is limited. The transport for for mobilization is limited. That's number one, which I'm talking about. Number 2 is about vehicles. And then regarding the ambulance service, if you see some of these ambulances not present in your districts, it is because the fleet is still limited. And we can scale it up. And why it is even cheaper for the Red Cross to buy these ambulances is that we have a global fleet base under the International Red Cross, where we get the factory price from Toyota buying these ambulances. So they are cheap. If you give us even the limited funding, you see it easily scales up because of the economies of scale we get from that kind of arrangement. Yes. So so the scale up basically, like for Brad, is on how, what I've already talked about, how do we take Brad to the community? How do we take Brad to the community? Previously, we used to run so much around in schools, but these days the children are even very young. They don't even qualify to donate Brad. Because for someone to give Brad should be 17 years and above. These days our children go to school and they are very young. Some schools even they don't qualify. But schools, it is like a conveyor belt. So the sustainability is taking Brad to the community, and that's what we are talking about. And how do we do that is on how we make the public appreciate. We do how we counsel the members of the public when they donate Brad, because they expect their results, but also on how we create more awareness. On emergency medical services, this question of traffic accidents, on how we can do more and do better. The whole question of public awareness on road safety, making sure that first aid skills is something that whether you are a vehicle driver or whether you are even a wananchi on the road, whether you are even a member of parliament, you have this skill. We need it. It saves life. But also on how we can do more in preventing, preparing and responding to disease outbreaks.
I apologize as Chair Health Committee that you didn't come before the committee, but we still are aware of your pleas and we considered you during the BFP process, and we made a recommendation before this same budget committee that the 4.4 billion should be reversed. And we are aware of all your challenges. I just want to mention to my honorable members that they play a very important role in emergency response services, as he has presented, and blood collection inclusive. During my presentation to the budget committee, I told you that we have a shortfall of about 150,000 units. Our target as a sector is 450,000. But what Uganda Blood Transfusion Services projects to collect is 300,000. That's their annual target. And last year they surpassed that target and hit 326,000 units of blood. And it is partners like Red Cross that augment these drives. And like he clearly put it, that we have been able to surpass our target of 300,000 units. The song of inadequate blood will still remain there if we do not scale up, both on the side of UBTS, but also partners like Uganda Red Cross Services. And I mentioned that blood is something we cannot manufacture. And it expires every 30 days. So every 30 days, a unit of blood goes bad. So collection is a continuous process. He has mentioned that. And I definitely think that 1 billion shillings extra that they're asking for blood drives is important, because we may build blood banks all over the country, but donation is voluntary. So it is people like Red Cross who go out and coerce people, talk to people to come forward and donate blood. And then the issue of the 4.4 billion for emergency health services. Honorable members, last week I had mentioned that the Ministry of Health has a National Emergency Medical Services policy. It describes what an ambulance is, either road ambulance, water ambulance, or air ambulance. What we have done as a government is mainly on the side of road ambulances, but there's a shortfall. What we need is about 426 ambulances. I think we have less than 250. So it is very true that whenever there is an emergency, you definitely see the Red Crescent of the Uganda Red Cross, whether it is bombs, whether it is accidents, they are definitely there. So in terms of emergency services, they need to be supported. On the side of air ambulances, it is in the policy, but like I mentioned, one helicopter air ambulance is about $5 million. I'm not so sure if we would want to invest in that right now with the limited resources, or we first focus on the road ambulances, which are very much needed in health centers and in the constituencies. So I personally, as a chairperson of the Health Committee, think that these funding cuts should be reversed and that extra 1 billion shillings be provided for if we are to scale up blood collection, which is a much needed commodity in these health facilities, including the health center for which we want to build and which we want to upgrade. Thank you.
And of course, you get it from there, Dr. Chelsea Yume, who's giving some of the highlights, trying to as well bring it up how well or how Red Cross is. And most of the people in the Red Cross society in Uganda, for example, to understand Red Cross branches. Out of the 51, have more than 300,000 members. We do render a lot of services in schools, in the Department of Health Care. So that is why, in case of any sort of disaster that happens or that occurs, country like natural or has long run, have to find out that Red Cross currently. Now, only that, so according to 2023-20, that you get to realize that the Red Cross is in need of more budget, or in need of more funds. The upcoming budget, ever since the situation that their budget was reduced from 12 billion, 5 billion Ugandan. They do believe that 5 billion Ugandan shillings cannot, at least in any way, fund their activities the next financial year. You look at issues to do with operations being affected in this situation, whereby the 5 billion, then by 12 of pandemic year, or rather of financial talent, then that will be limited, which would mean there will definitely be such or more funding for what searching. Well, of course, the different committees are presenting their budget framework. They're presenting their budget and what they need next financial year for the budget parliament. But it's analyzed for budget fully presented. So clearly, as we continue to give you more of this here, that the other part of health sector, health sector, so also can be attached during cost. Quite a number of nations from the national standards. Also, the government has more that funding other NGOs. But this time around, the funding from the government is being looked limited. That is from. Now, besides that, now let's cross over to the press review this morning. And now with the press review, GOTV Vision and Daily Monitor is a report regarding Uganda ready set for dealing at President with Ugandan words appreciate district. And here is a area of oil and gas. He was launched the official start reading of oil in the district there. Also, on the other hand, Chaprisa International is said to help farmers reduce cost of animal feed. This is another reporting center. Following more on the Entebbe airport, so the immigration new staff at the airport, whom they do believe will be the end of corruption allegations at airport. Also, to at least streamline more of this rest duty airport. Besides that kind of situation, police have blocked unauthorized airport debate where former presidential candidate was one of those who are going to who are rather going to address on that detail yesterday. Of course, about how he stopped from starting it off. Now, also, on the other hand, as the Kingfisher oil drilling starts, Uganda is set to reap 360 million US dollars per year, according coming in here. New Vision can definitely get more about that one. Yeah. Then when you look at this the from the other place following the censure of Minister Francis Ganza, Democratic Party, then Parliament. So that's why they have their reason. Yeah. And also, on the other hand, government is said to repeal 90 laws, saying, according to what the Attorney General has built. Also, Minister Henry Musasi directed tax tribunal to fast track taxpayers dispute. Also, now crossing over to the Daily Monitor, the censure of passes still talk down. The Toga sent reaction over this one. Then also a key milestone as oil drilling starts. Also another deep report regarding oil drilling in the country. Why we need to are very thick about it. Huge stake. Uganda's oil drilling journey or Uganda's oil exploration journey. Again, they following president who apparently had opened it. A Bank of Uganda and Makerere University has set to fund former governor look through, see how everything here. Health facilities have spent 4 months from daily. So on the other hand, is a report by Ugandan millennials
Smart24 Driving Business. Smart24 Driving Business.
Just right here at the access road roundabout, trying to observe, of course, the traffic atmosphere just right here. But according to the observation, it's a little bit calm. But definitely, this particular roundabout has quite other roundabouts which link to it. So when you bypass it, probably in case you're going. Now, for example, let me start from this particular lane going back on my left-hand side. If you see some of the vehicles that are coming from Chibuli, heading straight, of course, to the Ginger Road traffic junction right there, you realize that it's a little bit tight, Yeah, it might seem a little bit calm and it's okay, but it may not be reliable for you to really pass through the Ginger Road junction, just right there, those traffic lights. You will be held there for some time, like about 5 minutes. So probably, if you're staying in areas like Chibuli and you're planning to use this particular access road, it may not be something very appropriate for you. You could probably cross straight and head towards Nsambia Lane, towards the clock tower, just down there in the city center. It will also be a quicker route for you to town. Yes, from there. Then, for those people that are staying, if I'm to look back at this very end, for those people that use the industrial area, still those that are coming from Chibuli, and of course they are going to use this particular junction. It's quite a clear lane in that particular aspect, but still it's not a guarantee that when you come from there it's going to be a smooth pass for you. It's quite a very clear lane all the way from industrial areas, First Street up to the 8th Street, of course, which some actually connect up to around Kabalagala. Sometimes you want to use some shortcuts, so it may not be a bit quite unrealistic for you. Yeah, the roundabout seems very calm, but the proceeding roundabouts from here, they are not safe for you to use. The traffic will find you somewhere, just like we are observing just right there at the Ginger Road traffic lights. Let's get there and we see, we take a look. Yes, you pass the access road roundabout very free. Yes, and probably now you feel that, yes, I'm going to be at reaching time, but you're going to be held by the traffic lights at the Ginger Road. So it's not an appropriate route, let me say that. You could find a better alternative, another roundabout away from here. That's in case you're going to places like Nakawa, or you're connecting straight all the way from here, and you're planning to go to Nile Avenue, connect straight to Fairway Hotel. So this route might not give you the right time as such, because I'm seeing vehicles held for quite some time, and the traffic officers definitely being at the very position to ensure that they implement this very aspect. Now, if I'm to look sideways here, now let's take a look at the vehicles that are coming from Chibuli. The Chibuli lane, some actually coming from IU road, sloping down here. You get to realize that for those that are actually coming, you're planning to use this particular roundabout, it might be a little tricky. It's a little congested. Unlike those that are going, that are connecting straight to Nsambia, probably they are heading to city center right there, and they're planning to use this particular route. That might be a bit safe. So those, if you're coming from that area and you plan to use the access road and probably you're heading to Zambia or towards Clock Tower, it is very okay. That will be very accessible because it's a bit small. Unlike the vehicles that are coming from Chibuli and they are passing via this access road. That's the tricky aspect of this particular matter when it comes to actually making sure that you really get there in time. So it's a little, like you see, the vehicles seem like they are moving, but ahead of the proceeding roundabouts, it's a bit tight. You could be held by there. If you are actually really on time and you're going to execute what you're going to execute, it might be a little bit tricky for you. And knowing that an industrial area still, there are some, there is a connection to the some industrial area right there, makes it a little tricky, busy place, and there are quite all sorts of vehicles that are using this particular lane. These include heavy vehicles, borders, but also quite lots of passengers that are walking to town, so they also contribute to a certain kind of a congestion in that way, making it a little bit kind of delaying in case you're planning to use this access roundabout to go to whatever destination you're heading to. Now you see the vehicles heading to Ginger Road, been here for quite some minutes now. Do you see what I just told you? They are held in a very small interval. So chance, if you're using access road and you want to probably access, you're heading to Nakawa, you're probably heading to, or you're crossing via the Ginger Road traffic lights and you're heading straight to Nile Avenue Fairway, linking up to Wandegea. Well, if you're coming from Chibuli and that's your destination, it's not appropriate for you. You could probably get a better route to do that for those of you if you're driving that way. You see that? Quite a very heavy congestion. Very, very heavy. Very thick. You see that? All right. That's it for the traffic updates this morning. And back to studio with Joram.